Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Hi and welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show, a weekly podcast designed to give you grounded advice which will help you become a better leader and manager. Please subscribe to the show if you haven't already and share it with anyone else you think might get the benefit. Right, without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Hi everyone and welcome to the show. So, hope you're all really well and enjoying this February as I'm recording it in the UK. This week I want to talk around ways of working. So in business we talk a lot about ways of working and ownership of areas and how we get the best out of our people. And I really want to talk around 5 areas of ownership which I think could be useful for you when it comes into your business or your teams. Now, firstly, you should ask yourself the really deep question is, what do I do as a manager at work? Or why do I actually go to work is another way of looking at it. Well, personally, I go to enjoy it. I go to engage with people. I hope I'm being part of a bigger picture, which is always nice. Obviously, there's pay and rewards. That gets me out of the bed. We're not doing it for free. You go there, but also as a manager, you like to have maybe change and new challenges and all those good stuff that makes you a good leader that really enjoys it. But one of the big things you need to know, and the correct answer for that question is what you do at work, is, of course, drum roll, you should be delivering results. Yep, no shit, but yeah, you should be delivering results. And that's not at any cost. Obviously, we all have the right values and morals and legal requirements to do our jobs, so we shouldn't be delivering results at any cost, but we should be definitely focusing on delivering results. Now, we spoke on this podcast before, but we'll go over it again. You've obviously got to make sure you have clear whys for you and your team, and that's around the vision and the values of the company. So you need to have those whys sort of hardwired into what you're doing, because those are the things that really do make a team a good team, because they know what they're doing, they feel part of a bigger picture, they feel included, and they really want to drive to make you and your team and your business successful. You need a set of clear KPIs. It's important to understand clear accountability of what those KPIs are. So you need to understand what the KPIs are and obviously who's going to deliver them. And then the heart of any good business is the right people that are obviously trained, motivated and committed. With all those, it will boil down to delivering your results, which should, if you're doing it right, make a profitable business. Because, let's face it, if you don't have a profitable business, then your business isn't there for long. Now, cash is king, they always say. And in this world of higher interest rates, we definitely still need to start thinking around how we can make sure that we don't have the burden of borrowing onto our businesses. And by doing that, you need to make sure that we're keeping up delivering the cash, and that's making sure that we are very much making the revenue work for us as a business. But anyway, we've talked a little bit around that. I would then like to boil it down to today's episode is how, with all those things, a clear vision, a good strategy, great KPIs, good people, what do they need to do to make sure they really have ownership in the areas and are committed to? So I've boiled up 5 areas where I think there is a need for people to understand how they can deliver the results that we all need to be doing. First one of the 5, and they're not in any particular order actually, they're just the 5, is do the right things with a purpose and a pace. The second one, you said it, you do it. Having that idea of ownership. Third one, don't fear risk, make the calls. Fourth one, stop doing stuff others should be doing. A bit of delegation for you there. And number 5, own your time and use your strengths. So let's break them down a little bit from the top. So let's start with number 1. Do things with a purpose. So do the right things with purpose. Now this is all about having the idea of being able to have pace in what you do. Last week we talked about the 70-40 or the 40-70 rule around decisions. Well, you need to make sure you've got pace and agility to make the calls as a team with that purpose and pace to make sure you get the wins. So you're hitting the day-to-day targets, whatever those targets might be, that you individually are doing to contribute to the bigger picture. And be ready and able to make changes as things come along. So when we see an opportunity, we can seize it. If we see a saving or an improvement, we can seize it. We don't get wrapped up in the red tape. We do things with a purpose and a pace. And that's number one. Number two, you said it, you did it. So this is around, as we clearly understand our accountabilities, how do we commit to making sure that we do what we say? Most of the time, you set your own KPIs in businesses. So you say, I'm going to do this by then, by when. You set your own goals. If you're any good person, you're setting your own goals with your manager. So this is all about this one. Number two is around that sticking to the commitments. So who does what, where and when? So when you're saying you're going to do something and you're delegating it through your team, how do you make sure they're doing it? How do you measure their success? If you're saying you're doing something, how do you make sure you do it right? What we say is what we are going to do is a massive part of a business. Higher up an organisation, you're always going to trust the managers who deliver what they say they're going to deliver. The fly-by-nights will make massive promises, claim they can do this, claim they can do that. They don't last. People see through them. If you're not delivering the results, you soon get caught out. Now, these are things like yearly goals, yearly commitments, but also on a day-to-day basis, making sure you are delivering what you say you're going to do. So you're sticking to that. If you're going to say it, you're going to do it. So that's number two. Don't fear risk and make the call. Now, I'm not talking about every risk. Obviously, there is calculated risks in every business. You can't just go off and do what you want. If you're a one-man band, maybe, but most of the time you're not. You need to be able to make sure you're having calculated risks, but you have a permission to fail. If you don't, and every time you try to take a risk and you get a swift backhand from your boss, not that anyone would physically have violence in the workplace anymore, thankfully, but you're not going to challenge the norm if you feel you can't fail sometimes, because not all ideas are going to hit the ground running and be perfect. We're always really, really bad at doing things like challenging the norm, and when people come back with, we've always done it that way, we just go, okay then. You've got to have that calculated risk, go out there and have permission to go and do it. You need to use your data to support that decision though. There's no point in going off and thinking it's a gut feel. You need to have the best amount of info so that you can make that decision. Now, 100% of managers who make no decisions get 100% of things right. So don't fear it. Make sure that you are making the calls as a leader, but not fearing taking a bit of a chance. Number 4, stop doing stuff others should be doing. Now, that's the idea of prioritising. If you are doing lots of things that are not really important and not really urgent, then you're not really doing your job. Because as a leader and a manager, you've got to make sure you're delegating it out to the right people. So if you're doing stuff that others should be doing on a lower grade, they should be doing it. No doubt. If you're data entering and you're a senior leader, you're missing something. You're not supposed to be doing that. Somebody else is supposed to do that. You make the decisions from the data that's generated. Your wage is going to be higher than a lot of people in the business. So if you're not adding the value, then you're just a cost that just sat there. So make sure that you stop doing the stuff. So you've got to make sure you go out and stop doing the stuff that others should be doing. And number 5, do you own your time? And do you use your strengths? You need to know where you are adding the most value in your business. A lot of times people tell me, I'm just so busy, I'm sat on meetings all the time, I just don't have 5 minutes to do anything. And I'll ask them, that's a real shame. So whose is that calendar? Whose is the diary that you've got? It must be really hard to be imposed on you like that. And they'll say, no, you've got it wrong, Matt. It's my diary. Oh, gosh, right. Sorry, so everyone's accepted those meetings for you. No, I've accepted the meetings. So you've accepted the meetings of meetings you don't need to be in, and then you're saying you haven't got time to do anything. Where do you add most value? Where can you say no to meetings? Where do you make sure you have an agenda, a purpose, outcomes that meetings generate? Meetings on their own are not a job. Just get it out there. Going to meetings are not jobs. The action that's generated from the meeting, or the action you do before you go to the meeting even, which is another good point, are the things that you're going to get paid for. So make sure that you are owning your own time and know your strengths. So yeah, of course you want to learn things. Of course you want to widen yourself and not be pigeonholed. But if you're really strong at something, make sure you're engaging on those strong subjects. Make sure you spend the time doing those and not spending your time doing things that really isn't yours. And back to point 4, things that really should have been delegated. So, if we're going to talk around the whole idea of ownerships of areas, we need to talk about those 5 things. So let's just recap them for those. Let's think we do the right things with a purpose and a pace. You said what you did, you do what you said, taking ownership. Don't fear risk and make the calls. Stop doing stuff others should be doing, delegation. Own your time. It's your time, and make sure you're playing to your strengths. There's a lot of that goes on in businesses, and I know that a lot of you will already be very well aware of some of the points we've made today. But it's surprising how easy you slip into not owning things, losing contact with actually where your strengths are, and slipping into that rabbit hole of being on constant meetings without really adding value. Well, thanks for listening. And as always, I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on the show, both good and bad. So please send me your feedback, as it's a gift, to managermattpodcast. Answer all the emails myself and would love to engage on new or old topics. And remember, whatever you've learnt today, please put it into action. You don't get nothing from nothing. Right, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.